Into every generation, a character is born. One girl in all the world, chosen by queer fans to pin all of our hopes and dreams on. She alone will wield the strength and skill to fight homophobia, television censors, and early aughts fashion faux pas. We only wish she'd been given a bulletproof vest. She was Tara McClay, and this is Amber Benson! I handed those to her backstage. I was like, you're probably gonna need this. Amber! Oh my God, that's so emotional. I'm like sitting there crying. It was a beautiful video, wasn't it? We are so thrilled to have you here.
Oh my gosh, I am so happy to be here.
Can you believe it's been 20 years since...
It's kind of amazing.
20 years since you first appeared as Tara in Hush.
I know, that vending machine has not aged well. Oh my God, I had no idea. I thought it was 2 episodes. I thought I was like Willow's friend.
Was that how it was written in the script? Was it in like...
No, they didn't. There was no mention of relationship, girlfriend, the body kiss. None of that was in there. It was literally the break. So as an actor, you get a call from your agent and there's like a part on this show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the breakdown is this sort of like, you know, dryad, forest nymph kind of vibe. She's gonna be in a couple of episodes as Willow's friend from Wicked Group.
Friend.
So I went in and I auditioned for Joss and for Marty Noxon. And then after I was done with the audition, I was getting ready to go visit my dad up north. And so I got in the car and went away. And they called and they're like, hey, can you come back like right now? They need you to come back. They want to see you again. And I'm like, well, there's no way I'd make it. So they're like, well, they're gonna see a couple of other people, and if they don't find somebody, you'll go back in on Monday. So I went back in and I met with them again. And Marty Noxon is actually the reason I was on the show, because she's like, okay, she's not like dryad, nymph, forest fairy. She's, you know, different kind of Tara. And so she convinced Joss to cast me.
Woo!
And we are all grateful for that.
I'm grateful for that. I mean, it changed my life.
I think it changed a lot of our lives, actually. I mean, I don't mean to take away from the fact that, yes, you were Tara. But I mean, whose life here was changed by Buffy? Like, who first saw themselves represented in Tara?
All weekend has been the crying weekend. Every person I've met has a story, and it's so nice to share this role in this world with you guys.
Quick, Dana, think of something else.
It's so funny.
I know you do a a lot of cons. Like, you've done a lot of cons over the years.
I've been to others, yes.
Yes. I mean, nothing's
good.
like ClexaCon, but... But I'm sure you've answered so many questions about Tara over the years. But is there something about Tara that you've always wanted to talk about, but no one's ever asked you?
Smart this one is. I think something that I've always wanted to talk about but have never been asked about is what it was like when Joss wrote family for Tara. Like, we've talked about family, like, as Tara, you know, but like what it was like, I guess, for me, when he like specifically decided he was gonna write a whole episode about my character. Maybe? That's like an interesting thing, right?
Yes, please.
Definitely pulling stuff out of my butt. Going, I don't know. Yeah, very good at that. No, stop. Bad. We're children here, Benson. Be quiet. I go blue very quickly.
Well, no, please go on. Tell us about it. I mean, well, I'm not the butt stuff, but like. I love this lady. But what, like, how that impacted you and what that was like to be on the show, to come into it thinking, hey, I'm only going to do a couple episodes, and then here you are, and then an entire episode completely about your character and found family.
Right. It's like they're like, we're gonna do this episode, and you know, and it was funny because Joss was so busy. Like, they're doing Angel, they're doing Buffy, they're prepping like 50 other, they're doing all this stuff, and so he just kept like not writing the script for family for a really long time, and we only got it like a couple of days before, which was kind of, you know, what is this script gonna be? Like, here's this thing that he said he's writing about this character. What is it gonna, you know? And he's not working on it. So is he just gonna like kind of phone it in? Is it gonna be like, oh, Tara walks around and does stuff, and then that's the end of the episode? And instead, like, he wrote this amazingly beautiful story that I got to portray. And at the time, like, I was 22 years old, and I just was like, I want to be Joss Whedon when I grow up. You know, there's always that thing, it's like, oh, we love the people, but like, no, I want to be you. I want to be you when I grow up. And so here's this person that I idealize, and they write this beautiful, beautiful story that not only resonated with me, but resonates with everybody who comes through, talking about like what it means to be different and to have a crew who stand up for you. And I was saying to somebody today in line, I was like, you know, the way when you shoot stuff, you do like a master, which is like the far one where you see everybody, and then you do like close-ups, and we were shooting that scene where I'm like crying, and they're doing everybody else's coverage, and Joss comes over, he's like, okay, you need to stop crying, because when we get to your close-up, there's gonna be nothing left. I was like, I can't stop. It's so emotional. Like, they love her so much. They like her, they really like her. And so yeah, like, it just, to be able to be a part of an amazing show, be part of an amazing relationship, and then to get a very special episode. I think that sounds wrong, a very special episode of Buffy. But that's not how I meant to, like, it's not a teaching moment. Well, it is kind of a teaching moment. All right, it was a very special episode of Buffy.
It was a very special episode. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people here right now that was their experience. I mean, the demon allegory for lesbianism, but, you know.
No, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Demons,
lesbian. But I think that was a really profound experience for a lot of people who grew up in families that may have considered that part of them, of us, this monster, this thing that needed to be squashed.
Yeah, which is so wrong.
Yes.
And it was so brilliantly handled. Joss just like, he just did such a beautiful job with that episode, and he like wrote it in like, I think he wrote it like a couple of days. Like, he just like sat down and pounded it out, and like everything's dirty. I should be a Borscht Belt comic from the like 50s. Oh my God, take my wife. No, give her back. Don't laugh, that's not funny. I'm not a comic at all. Are you sure? I wish I had that talent. Said I just appreciate funny people.
Oh, were you pointing at me? Oh, thank you.
I was pointing my Kleenex at you.
Well, Buffy was one of the first shows to have a real connection with its audience because, I mean, the internet happened around the same time that Buffy was happening. And it really allowed you to have a connection that probably most shows had never had before with an audience. Do you think things with Buffy might have been different if it had aired now? With social media, the way social media connects fans and creators and actors in such a big way, because I could tell ya, they would have been upset about a few things.
Let's just put it this way, hate mail via fax does not quite have the effect. They got very angry, strident emails, faxes, to the production office. Please, how could you? Oh my gosh, and it's the little dots on the side. Oh my God, another one. Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to be like Winona Earp right now, where there's with the fans in a way that transcends the posting board that we had for Buffy, where they give you like a little code, so like your side of the chat lights up like a color, so they know that it's you. Yeah, and then they still don't believe you. Is that really you? I know how to use the color code. Or then it doesn't work, and you're like, no, it's me, it's really me. I'm gonna put it in parentheses, and I'm gonna do like the little okay, forget it. Yeah, I think, I can't imagine, like when the stuff with the 100 and that instant, like, we don't like this is not cool. Like, we want things to change, and you guys have to stop this. Like, and you can say it on Twitter, and people read it immediately. That access, that's an amazing thing.
I'm gonna read this. Look, I try to act cool, like I'm not, looking at my notes. But I have to, but I don't want to
Look at your notes.
I'll screw this up. I have a much smaller binder this year. So, you can't talk about Tara without talking about her death.
Yeah.
And you've addressed spoiler alert. Sorry if you haven't caught up in the last 19 years. 18 years. And you've addressed this many times. But ClexaCon was basically started in response to a major Bury Your Gays movement, which you just mentioned, in 2006. So obviously it's important. And for many queer fans, Tara's death marked a real beginning of Bury Your Gays. I mean, as an entertainment journalist, that's what I consider like the definitive moment of Bury Your Gays. Not that she was the first person to be killed on television or in movies or anything, but she was the first truly beloved character that played a significant role on television. And I rarely meet a Buffy fan who wasn't personally affected by your character. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on Bury Your Gays and how it took nearly 2 decades before a serious outcry from fans changed the way shows deal with LGBTQ characters. And you're all friends here, so say whatever you want.
No, all this weekend we've been talking. There's a dialogue at the table because I'm super chatty and talk everyone's ear off. Yeah. I apologize. You come up, they're like, I just want you to sign the picture. I'm like, oh, where are you from?
We love it.
They do.
Pick the color of the Sharpie, everybody. My boyfriend laughs at me. He's like, I see the pins come up. He's like, I know what's coming next. But like this idea that like 20 years later, we're still not in a place of representation. Like my friend Sarah Kuhn, who is an author and comic book writer, she has a series called Heroine Complex, Asian American Superheroes. Fantastic, definitely go get them. There's 3 of them. Well, 3rd one's coming out. But she talks about rep sweats and the idea that like she is one of the only people who is writing this kind of stuff. And she's like, every time I write it, I'm like terrified I'm gonna mess it up for everybody. And I think, you know, we're at a place where it's starting to change. The LGBTQ representation, there's starting to be more than just like the one character that gets killed. And the more characters there are, the less that it's so damaging when you lose a character in that way. It's always gonna be damaging, but it's not gonna be like the destruction of a fandom, you know? It's changing and it's getting better, but it is disheartening that it's taken 20 years to get to that point. For me at least, I get frustrated by it.
Yeah.
And the idea that there can't be lots of different LGBTQ characters doing lots of different things.
Yep.
And if one of them dies, then they died. But like if there's like 1,000 of them, then you're like, okay, that one died. But that's not, but with Tara, it was like, that was it. You're like, oh, we killed that one, so you don't get anybody else. Why? I mean, I know why he did, because he was obsessed with Dark Willow. He was like, so excited when he told me this end of season 5 finale. He's like, I have the most amazing news, we're gonna kill your character. I was like, oh, wow. Alrighty. But he was just like, Willow's gonna go on this addiction storyline in Dark Willow. And I was saying this yesterday, I think that like, because his experience is of a cisgender white man, he didn't think about the fact that like the way this happened would impact everybody. So I think if he had understood what he was doing, it wouldn't have gone down the way it went. There were other ways to get Dark Willow.
Yes!
Yeah. So,
She could have stubbed her toe terribly.
you know, so yeah, it's one of those things that was tough for me personally, because it was like being part of a family, and so it's not just a job that you're like saying goodbye to. You're saying goodbye to like this little family you've created. But like coming here and you have this family that you find, like people coming up to me going, oh, we've been here the last 2 years and we have all these friends and this is our friendiversary. Like we're here together and like it's you guys, like you say that to me and I'm just like, so like, that's what it's like. So to lose that, you're like, ah, crud. But then on top of everything else, all the stuff that happened after, it was really powerful and painful.
Thank you for speaking so candidly about it. I mean, I know it's a tough position to be in.
You know, it's tough. Like I was talking to Javi about this, you know, when you're not the person that created the show, you don't get the last word. You're sort of fulfilling the world of somebody else, from someone else's mind. So there are times when you disagree or you're like annoyed by something or you're like, they wouldn't say it like that, but you really can't say anything. Like you're sort of there to fulfill that other person's vision. So, you know, but I will say that everybody on set was crying when we shot that scene, and it was really powerful. It was really emotional. My mom still won't watch that. She won't watch that.
Aww.
She's like, I loved that character.
Well, since Buffy, you have had a very loyal and passionate queer fan base. I mean, they lost their absolute shit when they found out you were coming here. And I admit, I immediately contacted the ClexaCon team and I was like, you please put me on this panel. And they did, and I'm very grateful, thank you. Praying hands emoji. What has your fan base meant to you over these last 20 years?
I mean, you guys made me cry. Like, I feel really connected to you. I feel very, you know, like this is my family too, you know, and regardless of where we all come from, like, we're here. We found each other, and that's pretty freaking amazing in a kind of topsy-turvy, messed up world that we're kind of just sort of wading through right now. That you can come here and find this love and joy and support and positivity. It's pretty, I'm not gonna curse because someone is having to sign me.
I think there are signs for it if you need to.
It's pretty fucking amazing. amazing. I just didn't want them to have to curse. Sorry. But yeah, like I mean, it like we said earlier, it changed my life. I did not know what I was. It was yeah. It has been an amazingly crazy, awesome, wild ride, and I wouldn't trade any of it. Like, it is the thing that I am, as a human being, most proud. Like, not as an actor, because we're always like, oh, as an actor, I love that. It was so much fun to do that part. Like, this is something I'm proud of as a person. Like, I'm part of something that's like, not just TV. It's like real life stuff. And that's really cool.
I'm not gonna lie. The first fanfic I ever wrote was about Will and Tara. It's under a pen name, you'll never find it. But I brought Tara back in it. And it's got me thinking about, what do you think if Tara was still with us? And in a way she is, but if she was still with us, what do you think she'd be up to now?
You know, I always felt like she really should be sort of like in the Watcher training program.
Hell yeah!
You know, like she really did. Like when Giles went back away, left. I feel like she sort of stepped into that sort of voice of reason position. It's very Watchery, right? Yeah. Right. I could help people like learn to like kick. I could help make some steaks. You know,
Good at whittling?
I'm good at whittling. No, I'm not good at whittling. I would cut myself. It would be a bloody steak before a vampire was even introduced to it. But I was, speaking of fan fiction, I was asked this morning at 8 o'clock.
Always a good time to ask
Always a
someone
good
things.
time. Who was tops?
Y'all know you're not supposed to ask those kinds of questions in my panels.
No. I said you guys can ask me anything.
Did you facilitate?
Ask me anything. It's like Reddit.
Well, what was the answer?
No. Okay, I'm gonna shift. I knew she was gonna do something.
I told the story of the
Good answer.
I told them the story of the melter and the melty. That regardless of the package you come in, when you kiss somebody, there's the person that goes and melts, and then there's me who holds that person up. And it changes depending on the coupling, but in the Tara Willow world, I was definitely in my leather jacket, like keeping her up. I feel like that's a PG-13 rated version of what, yeah.
It's your world, Amber. We're just living in it.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
They're not. They are not.
No regrets.
All right.
Laughed, we cried, we made you almost snort, almost.
At some point, maybe. I want to shift a little, okay? We're gonna still be able to talk about this in the Q&A, but I want to shift a little because you have become also beloved for something else, and that is writing. You
In my macrame.
You have written or co-written over a dozen books. Did you know that? Were you aware of that? No, okay.
Ish-ish?
The Witches of Echo Park is my favorite. I love that series, which includes a very most excellent queer character. If you have not read The Witches of Echo Park, do so, please. Has writing become your big creative love?
Yeah, I always thought like I wanted to make movies, and I love making films.
I bought Chance. I did. I still have it!
And I love making films, I love directing, I love writing, but it's like having a baby, and it takes forever, and like it's so like independent film. It's really hard to make a living doing that. And I was like, well, maybe I'll direct television. I'll write still, and I shadowed a director on a TV show, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I was like, oh, actually, what I want to do is sit in front of my computer and figure stuff out. And that's really what I want to do. That's really my passion. Like, I love making the stuff, and I'll make stuff always, but like, I really just want to write. You know, it's like a drug. Buffy's like a drug too. It should come with a warning label.
Well, what advice would you give to budding writers in the audience? Because I know there's a bunch. Please raise your hand if you are a budding writer, you write fan fiction, all that. Oh, see, we got a lot.
My advice is, well, number one, we need more people who are diverse and who have a voice and a story to tell. Telling their story, we need you. Please, please, please write and make stuff, please. I'm so sick of seeing, Marvel movies are great, we love them, but like, if I have to see like 50 more of them, I need some other stuff to sort of balance it. We need your stories. Like, write. If fan fiction is exciting to you, start there. Start writing characters that you know and love and creating worlds for them. Let that segue you into creating your own stuff. I think the internet, like when we were, like, there was no YouTube, there was no like,
I'm an ageless lizard woman. I do not know what you're talking about.
That's true. Sorry. When I was a very young lass, many, many moons ago, at the dawning of the age of whatever, there was no stuffs. Like, you just did stuff and you mailed it places. Now you guys have access to blogs and Tumblrs or Tumblr, excuse me. Although, I know. All right, y'all watching your stories on the internet. But like, if you create stuff and you put it out into the world, you will find an audience. I'm always getting asked by like young actors, I'm like, YouTube, create your own brand, create your own story, do your vlogs, create small narrative stuff, create the stories you want to see, because nobody in Hollywood is interested in making our stories. Like, they're not interested. They're like, oh, yeah, we already have a lady show. Yeah, like we were pitching Witches of Echo Park, and we went from place to place, and they, oh, we love your pitch, but we have something like that. Like, oh, you have a supernatural show about a diverse group of women? Oh, no, it's a procedural about two women who solve crimes, but it's very similar.
Thanks, Rizzoli and Isles.
I love Rizzoli and Isles. But that's what we're up against, like queer voices, female identifying voices, fluid gender voices, trans voices. They're not what they're out there buying. So you have to do it. You have to create it so that the next we're already talking about the next generation, because everybody in this room, it's like it's the next. We're doing it for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I look at,
Yes.
like when I was voting, I was like, I'm voting for my friends' kids.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I go vote. Because if I don't vote and try and like keep it from going in the toilet, like, there's gonna be nothing for those kids. Like, that's why we do this stuff. So if you're creating stuff, you're open. Tara opens the door to a whole generation. We're like, I'm gonna go make queer films. Yeah. I'm gonna go do my thing. I'm gonna have my voice. And so now that generation, and then the next. So it's up to you. It's on your shoulders. If we want the stories that are like important for us, we have to tell them. We have to do it, and then our voices will be so loud because there's gonna be so many of us. They're gonna have to put them on the TV and on the movies.
Woo!
Sorry, I get on a soapbox. I get really frustrated. I'm doing this since I was 14, and I'm 42, and it's such slow progress forward. Like, come on, just faster, a little faster.
Well, speaking of support, what are you working
You're only 12, so.
Ageless lizard woman. What are you working on now so we can support you?
Woo!
I'm killing people on Hallmark. I've been writing Lifetime movies and Hallmark Channel mysteries.
Can you throw a gay person in one of those, please? Like anytime.
I'm working on it. We are working. It's always just getting. Sometimes just getting. Yeah, it's. We're working on it.
We get it.
We're working on it. It's hard when you're like, this character is clearly Japanese, and they're like, oh, we couldn't find a Japanese actor. You're like, but I know so many. Come on, guys, please. Like I wrote her that way specifically, and I specifically when I'm writing stuff, I make like all of the part, like it's like a lady. The police officer that brings the thing in is a woman, you know? Like just anything or they're diverse, or they're that, you know, just it's something different that's not just some dude coming in and like having 2 seconds. Like if we can people every like moment on TV with lots of people from lots of different places and different walks of life, then that's the world we live in, right? Like it's not, the world we see half the time on TV isn't like my world. I go shopping at Trader Joe's and it's not just a bunch of white dudes. In fact, very few. Yeah, so I wrote a couple of Lifetime movies and this Hallmark Channel mysteries called The Morning Show Mysteries with Holly Robinson Pete and Rick Fox, which is actually really cool. And Rick Fox, right? No. My boyfriend's like, Rick Fox, Lakers. No. He's like shaking his head. He's like, no. Don't mention me. And then we're developing The Witches of Echo. I'm terrible at this, but I'm like I was at a party and he was like, you don't tell people what you're doing. I'm like, well, I don't want to be like the person telling you all the things.
We're literally here for
I know, so I'm trying. So I'm like, all right, Benson, developing The Witches of Echo Park. My friend Mo Perkins and I just sold it, and we're going to be writing pilots. Thank you. I'm developing another pilot with Tornante, which is Michael Eisner's company, about a female serial killer. That's my like true crime passion is lady serial killers. I know a lot about serial killers.
Well, let's kick off this audience Q&A because I'm sure there are a lot of people who would love to ask you a question. I know.
Are there after this? Do they really want to?
I know April's gonna go first because she's got something to do. So April, please go first.
Hi, Amber.
Hi, April.
So my favorite episode of Buffy
Evil.
was Once More with Felix.
Evil.
And I know that you probably get asked a lot to sing Under Your Spell. So I'm not actually going to ask you that.
No, something different.
No, my question is for all of you. Who's ready for a sing-along? Hit it, Charles.
Oh, wow.
This is amazing.
Is this it? Yes, it is. It is.
And you can't imagine what they see. I know exactly what they see in me. You.
I live my life in shadow, never the sun on my face. I can't feel so sad though. I figured that was my place. Now I'm bathed in light. Something just isn't right. I'm under your spell. How else could it be?
was amazing. April, can we just give it up for April? And for everybody who volunteered and who's on staff. Like, this is an amazing convention, and they deserve our thanks.
I was really feeling myself in that song.
You are on it. Nice voice.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, Amber.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey. So Willow and Tara both had this commonality where they were both survivors of abuse of a kind. So obviously Tara with her family issues, and Willow was bullied a lot as a child, and both just sort of came into themselves as the series went along. I'm just wondering if you could talk about sort of the way they found safety in each other.
I mean, you just watched the Hush episode, which is this like really awful, almost like one different than the trio doing awful things, but really scary and kind of evil and malevolent. Yeah, so frightening. And like, who kind of I mean, obviously everyone works together, they save the day, but like, Willow and Tara are like this oasis of like calm and safety, and they survive it together. And I think that is sort of indicative of their relationship. They find that calm, centered moment in time, and they try and live in it. I mean, I really do feel like they were the best relationship on the show, as far as like how they treated each other. And I mean, obviously they had their issues. Everybody does, but I mean, they kind of Did I drop Kleenex? Dang it. Oh. I'm just like, I have stuffs. But they kind of raised Dawn. I mean, I think they were a bit of the heart of the show, like that relationship. So,
Thanks.
thank you. You look great.
Oh, I'm very short. Speaking of Willow, and I'm sure other people would love to hear, what was one of your favorite memories working with Allison Hannigan on set?
I told this at breakfast as well. It was kind of a naughty 8 a.m. breakfast. So when we come back together, I've got my awesome leather jacket.
Yes.
You were kind of a zaddy in that.
Yeah, I was pretty, but so Allison kind of prides herself on that she doesn't sweat. And I guess I got a little too into the moment, because it's a very emotional, sexy moment, and yeah, I might have accidentally slipped her the tongue. I'm sorry, I accidentally slipped her the tongue. And I made her sweat. I was in the moment, you guys. She's very beautiful. Come on.
Hi, I'm a voice actor, and I was really surprised and excited to hear you on Red versus Blue. And I was wondering, how did you get into that, and do you have any more plans for voice acting in the future?
You know, I do a number of audiobooks, and that's kind of in that. They're fun, aren't they?
So much fun.
Oh my God! Wait, tell me your favorite one that you do, just so everyone can go get it.
Mine are like super inappropriate. I do
Oh.
romance and erotica under the name Veronica Harder, if you want to look.
I'm going to have to listen to that on a long road trip.
I'm on this like lesbian space podcast too, called Starship Alaria. Yeah, it's amazing.
We'll talk later.
We'll take
Allison Baker, actually, who works for IDW and is a friend of the Winona Earp. And, she was the reason I did that. She brought me in. She was like, "Come do this little thing," and I was like, "Okay." And I didn't know what I was doing. I hadn't really done anything in that world before. That is hard. Seriously, being a voice actor is really difficult. Like, hats off.
Thank you.
So in season 7 for Conversations with Dead People, they wanted to have Tara come back.
Yes.
And so can you tell us a bit about was there a lot of pushback when you didn't want to do that? Was it something that was pretty easy that they understood? Like, how was that decision? How were you able to actually get that accomplished?
really what happened is that I was getting ready to go to London to direct an animated show that Christopher Golden and I had written for the BBC called The Ghost of Albion, which is like, come on, go to work with the Daleks.
Yeah.
And there was a Dalek in our office when we were recording. It's pretty like amazing. You know, we had Anthony Daniels, C-3PO doing one of the voices, and Emma Sams from, no, okay. She's awesome. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Kathy. And so it was a conflict. And then when we talked about what was gonna happen, that she was gonna be the first and the big bad, and I was like, ooh, I think I gotta go London. You know, I think this is my 2 cents. If the show had gone on for more seasons than it did, we probably would have figured something out. You know, but for me, I just was like, I'd already been getting, I mean, Allie and I got a lot of mail. We got a lot of mail from people who were like, I didn't kill myself because of this relationship. Like, thank you. And you're like, how can I can't, like, no. We're done. We already hurt. We're not gonna hurt more for right now. And, you know, I think if it had gone on, there would have been a way to do it when she wasn't the big bad.
Thank you for not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can I say thank you for sparing all of us that pain, and thank you for being aware enough of the love your fans and loving your fans enough to know that that would have cost us a lot of pain.
Yeah, we all make choices, and things work out, and some things don't work out, and this just worked out the way it was supposed to, I feel. You know? Hi.
My name is Meg, and I first met you 14 years ago, and you made me cry some. So I'm excited to be back here, but...
I'm gonna make you cry again. But in a whole new way. We just watched spread beneath my willow tree. Come on, you guys. You make me complete. I'm so sorry, Meg. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I mean, we all thought it.
All right, don't look at me, and I won't look at you. We won't laugh.
So Sarah actually asked my question, but I have a different one. So, I hope I don't get people glaring at me for this. But I've always been kind of curious as to if you had watched Buffy up until when you first appeared on it, and what your view was of the Willow and Oz relationship, and if you think that it should have been established that Willow was bi, or if you were okay with the fact that she kind of shifted on the spectrum, or like if you are friends with Seth Green.
No, that's a really interesting question, because, you know, it did, like, canon before Tara's arrival, Willow was Xander and then Oz, and so it was a big change in the trajectory of who her character is. But something that I always felt was that there is sort of like a fluidity to sexuality, and if you find somebody to love, period, like, you're lucky. So just the fact that she was open and interested in exploring, I kind of was like, well, we don't have to label it. We can just be like, you know, she's exploring and figuring out who she is, and she may decide to be this, or she may decide to be that, or she may decide to be this other thing over here. And those are all good and perfect and wonderful and good choices based on whatever is more appealing to her, right? So that was sort of my take on it. I always kind of felt like Tara knew she was gay always. Like, that's how I felt about Tara, that wasn't like, she wasn't exploring with Willow, she was who she was, and she was in love with Willow, and that was just it for her. But with Willow, there was sort of like she was growing and changing, and, you know, she was exposed to something she hadn't been exposed to before, and it changed her perception of things. And that's a wonderful thing, to be able to grow and change and be like, hey, I want to be this now. Isn't it great that we get to choose and be who we want to be, and that like what I was 10 years ago may not be what I am now, but all are good, both are good, all in betweens are good. And as far as watching it before, I actually knew Allison before I was on the show, and so I had watched a couple of episodes to be like, yay! And I thought it was really fun, but I hadn't been watching it religiously before that. You know who was obsessed with the show? Absolutely obsessed. Michelle. When Michelle showed up, she was just like running around going, oh, and there's this, and we're over here, now we're in the bronze. We're in the house. Like, she knew everything. She knew, like, she would put all of you to shame, because she knows every detail of every episode of that show. Like, she's amazing. Like, so smart. She's really, really smart. She was like a little kid when I met her. Now she's all grown up. I'm so proud of her. But, like, she knows everything about Buffy. She was such a fan. So yeah, it wasn't until I was on the show that I went back and started watching everything, and like kind of, because you want to have in your head a little bit what's going on. You're like, that doesn't, oh no, I understand. Oh, they did that. Okay. Yes.
That's how I feel too. So thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't think that was a glare-worthy question. No, it was a really good question. And thank you, and I'm sorry I embarrassed us both. I apologize.
And me.
And you, and you.
No, I was fine.
Ageless, oh, ageless one.
Hi, Amber.
Hi, Heather.
So I know I'm not the only one who appreciates your presence here this weekend, so thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for inviting me.
And my question is, what is one thing you think you'll take away from this weekend and this experience?
That is a really good question. I feel like I have a whole bunch of new friends. And that I will tell everybody I know that this is where they need to come, because this is really special. This is a special convention. It really is. I've been to a ton, like, doing this a very long time. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have, although some of you are like, I've never been to anything but this. I'm like, that's amazing. But they're not always like this. That support. I'm like walking down the hallway and someone's like, oh my God, I love your hair. Not to me, but to somebody else. I'm like, oh my God, that costume, did you make that? Da, da, da. And then walking some more, oh, did you see that film? That film was so good. And da, da, da. That person over there, let's go say hi, remember? I'm like, there's so much kindness in this space. People are so nice to each other. And that's not always how it is at all. So my takeaway is that this is a really special place, and I'm so glad that I am part of it now. Woo! Thanks, Heather. I felt like that was like a plant. It was not a plant. Did not plant that, but I should have. Are you like crawling to the mic? What is happening?
Yeah, it's an army crawl Q&A session.
You're gonna have to limbo
And the
out?
prize is getting to stand up.
Wow, y'all are hardcore.
We're lesbians and queer people. It's what we do.
It's all we know.
You know what? Here's some Kleenex to say, well done. What? Totally caught that. You're right, it is what
Softball, I bet.
Hi, Amber. My name's Sammy.
I see me. Sorry, you don't have to give me Kleenex, but they're very nice.
Oh, I'm keeping them. My cousin.
If you find me later, I will sign them for you.
So my question is, there have been talks of a Buffy reboot and or sequel, and I was wondering which actor, like, because it doesn't matter who, but a Tara-esque character on that show, who would you want to play them?
Amber Benson.
You are in the hot seat.
No, I mean Amber Benson.
No, I hear tell that there is going to be a reboot, but it's not going to be like Buffy again. It's going to be in the universe. Joss is involved. The showrunner is a woman of color. From what I understand. fan of the show. So I grew up watching it. So I think it has a chance of being something really special, and I'm very excited that it is going to, if it happens, it's going to be a very diverse cast, which is something that Buffy, we can just say it, that like when we were making Buffy, it wasn't, getting a diverse group of people together was not the what you saw in every scene. Like it has a failing in that for sure. And I think like a reboot would be a great way to address that and go, you know what, we're gonna change it now, and now it's this. It's everybody from everywhere, and it's just a diverse group of actors together. Buffy might be Black, African American, and that would be amazing. I'm excited to see that. I think for the next generation, that is important. I'm babbling at you, but you were asking me like if there was like a Tara-like character.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, boy, girl, what?
Who I would like to play that character.
Who do you think would be a good representation
Of like
a queer character?
If there was like a Tara-esque character, I think like a trans Tara would be kind of amazing.
Right here.
I think that would make me really happy.
Thank you so much.
I like that, right? That's really, that just feels right.
Hey Amber,
Hello again.
how are you doing?
I'm good.
First of all, you're amazing. But
Oh,
anyway,
I will give you your money later.
Okay, thank you.
You're not supposed to say, they're supposed to be like, what money, Amber? I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
haven't forgot about the $1 million.
Oh, damn it. You're very quick, very quick.
I was just wondering if you have played any more other gay characters, because I do love Tara, and I also loved Do You Have a Cat?
Oh my God, it's a short film
good.
that is fantastic. My friend Sam stars in it. Nicole, it's a wonderful short film, and I play like the sassy best friend to a lesbian, and it was a lot of fun. It's very tropey, shall we say, about not in the Barry way, but in the like cats and U-Hauls kind of way.
It's not a trope if it's true.
It was cute, but you gotta dig for it. I searched for months.
Yeah, short films are tough. You do them and you're like, is that no, you can't find that. I actually was in Angela Robinson's Girl Trash, not the movie.
Series.
Yep.
That's right, I do remember that.
And I got to make out with beautiful woman who I play a Russian character. Monster woman, yes. Yeah. And very bad Russian accent there, sorry you guys. And that was really fun. Like I love Angela Robinson is a phenomenal writer-director. The L Word. Heard Me Fully Loaded, Love Bug. We do lots of stuff, and we put our stamp on them, and we make them interesting and fun for us. Lindsay Lohan. But you know, she's so talented, and she did this web series Girl Trash, and then they made a feature out of it, and I got to be in it playing a Russian kind of badass, kind of criminally sort of lesbian. She was like tough Russian lady. It was really fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. Watch it. Not just for me, but the whole thing is really good.
Hey, Amber.
Hello again.
So I think it's safe to say for many of us that Tara and seeing that character was the beginning for a lot of our coming out and a lot of our self-realizations, and that since then many of us have grown. I know when I'm definitely not the same person I was when I first said this to you about 10 years ago. So I wanted to know, and I know, Dana, that you touched a little bit on fan interactions and how I wanted to know from Amber, from your point of view then, how the fans themselves have changed, how the interactions have changed, and whether or not you've seen, like, you know, the growth from, like, baby gays to confident gays, you know, that sort of, you know, and whether or not you still get, you know, people that have maybe just discovered the show themselves.
That's a really good
It's a really good question. I think there is an ownership of who people are that wasn't there when we started making the episodes that were the fourth season. When I would talk to fans, there was a lot of, I'm coming out and I'm scared and I'm trying to find my family that is not my biological. I'm trying to find my friend family. I'm trying to find my support system. And now I feel like people, because of the internet, because there is this access to each other in a way that wasn't before, that process is because it's not safer. It's not safer. It's still tough, and there's still a lot of awful stuff that comes with owning who you are in this world right now. People that don't understand and don't accept and don't listen and make people feel really bad, and that's got to change, and it will change. It's just a long process, but it's not that there's a safety. There is a place to go now, when there wasn't a place to go before. You can go to the internet, you can come to ClexaCon, you can find people who are like you, and that wasn't available. Like I said before, Allie and I would get letters from kids like, I live in the middle of nowhere, rural Iowa. I don't know anybody who's like me. Like, I watched you, and I'm like, that's me. But I don't think anybody else in the world is, it's just us. Like, they're like, it's you guys and me. And because of the internet, that's changed. People are like, oh no, it's not just them and me, it's us. And that's really great. So to me, the change is the ownership of who people are, and a freedom to own who they are that wasn't there in the same way before. And the hand from someone who's already out, already there, already done the hard work, saying, I'm here, I got you, it's okay. See, like I did it, you can do it too. And maybe it's on a chat, maybe it's on Twitter, maybe it's on TV, but it's there, and it wasn't there in the same way before. That was really, sorry, I babble.
No, you're wonderful. All the panels at ClexaCon are tremendous, and then
they really are. You kind of kill them.
But sometimes you just walk away from something with a little piece of yourself feeling a little bit healed or a little bit stronger, and I think that this panel has at least done that for me, and I'm sure for many people.
Life is really short, you guys. And it takes so much effort to be mean. It's so much easier to just smile and be nice. We've all been at the end of the line. We've all loved stuff and been heartbroken because someone's not what we want them to be. And so, for me, it's just I treat people the way I want to be treated. I want you to be nice to me. I'm a nice person. I want to be nice to you. Let's make the world a nicer place. Let's be kind to each other. We may not be here that long the way things are going. God knows. Might as well have fun while we're doing it and treat each other well. And I truly believe that is why we're here, is to be kind to each other and help each other, not destroy each other. Just because someone was mean to you and made you feel bad does not mean that you should do that to somebody else. In fact, it should be the opposite, because you felt crappy. I felt crappy, and I would never want to put that on somebody else. And so to walk away and go, you know what, I'm going to be nice because that felt bad, and I don't want to make anybody else feel like that. If we can all do just that, this will be a better world. So let's work on that as a group together.
Well, let's all be very nice to Amber Benson and give her a huge round of applause.